with you guys.
Okay.
Sarah, you're up.
Ok, hola, ¿cómo están todos? Muchas gracias por su tiempo.
Gracias, Sara.
Nosotros
Mucho
tenemos
gusto.
acá a Taimour, él es el fundador de Funds Global. En nuestra empresa nosotros nos dedicamos a apoyar a empresas exitosas a acceder a programas bancarios que son exclusivos, que no se ofrecen pues como normalmente a toda la banca ni a todas las personas, para que puedan autofinanciar sus proyectos dentro de la empresa o sus empresas por toda la vida. Entonces son programas pues que el cliente mismo, desde que recibe sus retornos, puede seguir invirtiendo en otro tipo de programas que por lo general estarían para personas pues que pueden acceder como a los 20 bancos más grandes del mundo. Entonces pues ayudamos a estas empresas a poder acceder a ellos. Nosotros nos enfocamos y nos hemos ido enfocando mucho últimamente con el partner pues que Taimour les decía, que es un ex CEO de uno de los grandes bancos en Londres, y con él nos hemos enfocado en poder apoyar a nuestros clientes, que eran clientes que ya conocíamos o clientes nuevos, que puedan acceder a tener su propia licencia bancaria privada para que ellos con esta licencia bancaria puedan así acceder a instrumentos bancarios de una forma más fácil y también monetizarlos o moverlos dentro del espectro pues como bancario de una forma más flexible. Entonces, ya en la última parte vi que Taimour ya empezó a preguntarles como cosas puntuales, y es que nosotros sabemos que dentro de un trust o fideicomiso se puede tener el trust y el trustee pues como personas naturales. Es posible también poder tener corporaciones dentro de ese esquema con ustedes. Pues como
La respuesta es
empresa.
sí. Sí,
Sí.
después le explico los detalles, pero la respuesta es sí. Ajá, sigue.
Ok. Ok, y la otra pregunta, esperen, me dan un segundo. Taimour, what's the other question apart from the one for the trustee?
Creo que la otra pregunta iba dirigida al tema de los activos, el bien
sí, los
fideikomitido.
activos. Sí, los activos.
Can they set up trust for our clients where the trust is associated to a bank account? So the trust comes with a bank, but a bank account, not a bank license, a bank account. But the bank account should hold assets like should be able to receive assets like standby letters of credit.
Okay.
So it can be a daily saving checking account. That's question one.
Yeah. Okay, that was the one.
Okay. Question two is every trust has a trustee, beneficiary, and a settler. Can the trustee, beneficiary, and settler be corporations instead of you, me, and like a lawyer? And then can the corporation be in different legal jurisdictions?
Okay.
For tax saving purposes, are the first two questions I have.
Okay, so I think let's handle the first question so we can. Okay, entonces, dentro de eso se puede tener que sea una cuenta bancaria, y dentro de esa cuenta bancaria no solo se depositen pues fondos como dinero, sino también instrumentos bancarios.
Ok. La respuesta a ambas preguntas es sí. Pero el sí va condicionado a otros elementos, ¿no? Que voy a explicar. O sea, la legislación panameña de fideicomisos es bastante amplia y es muy versátil. O sea, los fideicomisos pueden constituirse con bienes bienes o valores en Panamá o en el extranjero. Es más,
Reinaldo,
sí.
I think it's very just playing in English if you can, because
if you want, I can explain English too, pero lo que pasa es que Juan Pedro ya Taimour dijo que prefería que lo explicara en español para que Sara se los tradujera.
Or if you want, you can say it in English, and if Taimour has a certain or something like that, so we don't go back and forth.
Okay, excellent. We can. Okay. Taimour, okay. You have two questions. First of all, you have the questions of if that trust in Panama can establish with a bank account outside the jurisdiction of Panama, and the other one is that the corporation
Sorry, the bank account can be in Panama.
Yes.
So in Canada, where I live in Canada.
Yes.
There's two types of bank accounts I can have. One is a saving checking account.
Yes.
I can have a credit card, but I'm doing saving and checking. Another bank account I can have, I have to apply for it. It's called a global master trade account. And what that allows me to do is to receive banking instruments, like a standby letter of credit, a bank guarantee, medium-term note, like that.
Yes.
But saving checking cannot. So can you set up a trust for me and my clients that has a bank account that can have that that will have the global master capabilities of receiving SBLCs, and that can be in Panama, no problem.
Okay. 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 Let me explain the context of the trust law in Panama, and then because it's a separate regulation between the trust law and the banking law. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. For the trust regulation, you can establish a trust company, a trust fund, or a trust instrument in Panama by the legislation of Panama with a beneficiary owner, or the trustee could be a corporation. That's the answer of the question. The only situation that you have to be aware of, in the constitution of the trust, is that we for compliance, it is an internal regulation that you have to documentate the final beneficial owner of the natural person that is in charge, or will be the one that be administrated that trust. It's only that. But for regulation, the company can sign the contract and have to be represented by a natural person that have the authorization to sign that documents. That's one thing. And the second thing, of the kind of goods or titles or accounts that you can put in a trust fund in Panama is very variety on that. You can establish with a bank account in Panama. You can establish with a bank account outside Panama. You can establish titles, stocks, shares from companies of Panama or outside Panama. There's no limitation that the goods or value that you're going to establish in that trust have to be registered in Panama. Have to be registered in Panama, but don't have to be issued or have been issued by the company in Panama. It could be outside. But by the regulator, that's one thing that we have to be aware of. That by the regulator is important, because if the trusts have been constituted in Panama, but the values that have been deposited there is outside, maybe the regulator can ask to go to the jurisdiction to see what kind of value and all of that have been done. And that is only the situation that have been done. But the question regarding you asking if a bank account in Panama, can you deposit that kind of value that you describe? That's one thing I think Daniel have to help me on that, because that's the bank regulation. Not too much banks in Panama have the authorization of have this specialty to open a bank account with that kind of deposits. Okay.
I understand.
Okay. I know, for example, the Banco Nacional, that is the first bank in Panama. That is a bank. Okay. In Panama, we don't have a central bank. So we don't have a central bank that issue money and regulates of the bank. We have a regulator that is called Superintendencia de Bancos, and we have a national bank that is the bank that normally do that kind of transaction, but because the government normally issue that kind of titles or that kind of values and normally negotiate that kind of titles in order to make some financial operations. I know that the national bank, but private banks, I think only one can do that is Banco General, and I don't know if they are going to be aware to do this operation with the trust company.
No problem. Can I ask you some more questions, if I may?
Sure, sure.
And sir, I just need you to translate whatever, okay?
No worry.
In Cayman Islands was ruled by British law at one point in time in history.
Mhm.
And when Cayman Islands became its own sovereign country,
Yes.
they still inherited some of the British law.
Mhm.
One of the British law is that I, as a foreigner, can set up a corporation in Cayman Islands.
Mhm.
But this is by law. I have to pay a little bit more money for it. The corporation will hide my name as a director.
Mhm.
Panama, I think it allowed it to do that at one time. But then the Panama Papers hit the newspapers, and everybody all of a sudden found trillions of dollars being hidden in Panama and South America. And then all the tax authorities around the world, including my tax authority in Canada, reached out to the Panama tax authority, and they created these treaties. So now the Panama tax people will tell the Canadian tax people how much money I have in Panama. So my question is, can I set up a corporation in Panama where the director is not mentioned? Is that a possibility? Or is it because the first comment you said is there needs to be a director?
Yes. Okay. Let me explain how it works. Panama because of that you described very well with the Panama Papers. Panama do not change the law. Basically, you have been made another laws for more transparency of the transactions and transparency of the corporations in Panama. And what is considered transparency? And let me explain how it works on that. Basically, that like you said, Panama have signed some treaties of transparency and exchange of information, financial information, and beneficiary owner information. There is two separate things. From the beneficial owner and of a bank account in Panama, the exchange of information is automatically, but it's not automatically with authorities. It's automatically to some administrator of the information, and the Canadian or the USA different, or French citizen that the French government want to make a review of the bank accounts on the movement. They have to make a request, demonstrate that they are going to make an investigation with that citizen, and they got the information. That's the way that it works. So it's not that is important to because it's not work automatically that you send information. I have all the French people, and then I send it to the French authority. It doesn't work like that. These international rules may apply on that. That's one thing. And the other, from the directors or the controller, you can have too that kind of information, but depending who is the real controller of it. For example, for a trust fund, and make example in that kind of situation. If a trust fund is the one that made is a director, for example, a Panamanian director is the one that made a decision on investment, of exchange, and it's basically a blind trust. It's a deposit that you don't have, make renting or like I said, is in English, in Spanish is renta pasiva. I don't know if it's in English. It's basically the same thing. Yes, it's renta pasiva. It's dividends. The benefit of the movement of the financial operation in the bank account doesn't go to the beneficial owner in the end of the year. He doesn't have the control of it. Don't have to make that report, because the report depending is who is the controller of the beneficial of the operation of the company, of the corporation. And this is second stage. So when we are going to make the design of a structure, I understand what you're trying to make. It's important to make this. Who is the controller and who is the beneficial owner? And if the beneficial owner is a resident, for example, is a Canadian resident, but the one that makes the control of it is a Panamanian, the Panamanian government don't have to make any report of that, because the one that made the decision of the transactions and all of that is a Panamanian resident. It's necessary. It's by international rule. You don't have to make any reports. It's important.
Can I tell you what I heard in that for me? I want to tell you what I heard in that for me.
Sure.
So what I heard in that for me is that you or a law firm in Panama can offer blind trust services, which means a foreigner, I keep using myself, but remember, I have clients. We have clients. They're ultra high net worth clients. So, and I'll just use myself. So I can set up a blind trust with you or a law firm in Panama. The director is a Panama person, citizen. And therefore, the Panama government says we don't have to report on the actions of a Panama citizen.
That's correct.
Okay,
that's the describing.
Okay, that's awesome. And then you said the asset can be outside of Panama, but it must be registered in Panama. Is there any way that somebody can find the, but I guess people can find it, which is fine. Right now we have a law firm in Toronto, and that law firm in Toronto works with a law firm in Cayman Islands. The law firm in Toronto becomes a trustee in the Cayman Island Corporation, and we have a blind trust with the Toronto law firm, but on paper, he's the trustee, not me. And then we tell him what he wants, what we wanted to do. So if somebody, God forbid, from an asset protection perspective, somebody wants to sue us, attack us, whatever, we have nothing. We don't own anything. But that other law firm that controls everything, the same process we can replicate in Panama.
Yes. Because, and why? Because the operation I already described you basically is an international principle of international taxation. That's my I'm specialized in tax, international tax.
Perfect.
So
perfect. I love your
background. That's why it's basically the operation I already described you is the way that normally law firm, trust companies, and person that family office and corporation that administrate funds, international funds, is the way how they do it.
Right.
Basically, they constitute a family office, a trust company, or have a license of administrated funds, something like that, and they have the residents and operating a company in a jurisdiction like Panama, Islands, Bahamas, something like that. And in that kind is the operation is real, and they have the economic substance and the real activity of administrating a fund in Panama, and that's called the blind trust. And basically it's that the beneficial owner, if they don't have the control and they don't have the decision how is managed the funds, you don't have to report it, because they only will have the benefit of the management of the fund or the trust or the corporation or the financial instrument that you have been paying when they ask the benefit of that. In that moment, when they ask the benefit of the operation, is in that moment when you have to report it. When you don't ask that, when you don't ask, or you don't, or the person that asks is not a jurisdiction that have to be reported, then you don't have to report to anyone because the administrator of the one that is in charge to make the investment and have the benefit and have the operation is a Panamanian resident. So you don't have to have any reporting of international taxation. It's principle. It's basically it's international principle. It's the same thing in all jurisdictions.
Can you help us with applying for private banking licenses in Panama?
Okay, that's the one thing that Daniel, how you see, ¿cómo tú, hagan speak in Spanish. Daniel, lo que pasa es que esa parte de poder depositar ese tipo de instrumento financiero, yo nada más sé que el Banco Nacional es el único que lo puede hacer. Yo no sé si hay otro que lo pueda hacer.
I understand. Okay. First of all, it's not a usual thing that the bank do here in Panama. So, okay, they are all of the bank are authorized to do such thing. Okay, but they're reluctant to do it. Okay, Banco Nacional de Panama is a national bank. Okay, they can do it, but we have also a relation with a bank that is a Panamanian bank, but the owners are from the United States. That is called Atlas Bank. Okay, we have done such several things. Okay, that are not normally done in this country. Okay, and the other thing is that TAC International, the fiduciary company of ours, also can open accounts in any other jurisdiction also.
Yes.
Okay? So you don't have to, you don't have to have only in Panama the bank account. You can have it in any other part of the world. Of course, some things apply in some jurisdictions, whatever, and we have to know what the details, okay? But we can, but the bottom line, we can do it here in Panama. Probably it will take some time to explain to the banks what we are doing, okay? And otherwise, we can also do it in any bank offshore of Panama.
Awesome, great. Can I share a couple of client scenarios with you, if I may?
Okay, go ahead.
And Sarah, you may need to translate all or part of it in Spanish.
Okay. The one thing that I would like to do, okay, yesterday, okay, is to sign an NDA so that you can be comfortable with all
100%,
of this. Okay?
100%.
We can sign it with post-dated with yesterday's date, okay? And the other thing is that by law, all of this has to be kept secrecy by our trust company, okay?
Yes.
Yes.
When we are fine if we just disclose the information we have, and the fund and the fines start at $50,000. So we're pretty okay. And we have been in the banking industry almost for 40 years, so we know how this thing works. Okay.
So let me share a couple of client scenarios. So Sarah lives in Colombia.
Okay.
Imagine Sarah runs an oil business in Colombia.
Okay.
And she wants $50 million because she wants to run her oil business. A local bank in Colombia doesn't have $50 million to loan her. They don't. So Sarah needs to go to alternative funding industry, international, to see how she can get funding. And if we arrange a funder out of Turkey to give her $50 million, the lender in Turkey will say the contract law must be in Turkey. And Sarah, if you don't want the money, if you can't accept the term, contract law has to be in Turkey, we can't do business. Sarah will say, fine, I'll sign the contract. 3 years after COVID would hit and people cannot go to the oil field, and Sarah doesn't have the money to repay the loan to the lender in Turkey. The Turkish guy will go to a Turkish court to get judgment against Sarah's oil field. He'll get judgment, But when he comes to Colombia, Colombia government will say, sorry, oil field is national interest. You cannot collect on a national interest to Colombia. You can't. So now the lender in Turkey he's out of options. He can't do anything about it. The collateral in the transaction was Sarah's oil field, but now he can't do anything about it, and Sarah's stuck too. It's COVID. So the solution, one solution is for Sarah, for collateral, to go issue a standby letter of credit from any bank to the Turkish lender. So if Sarah can pay, the guy can go get the standby letter of credit monetized, cash it in, and he's happy. He doesn't care about Turkish law or Colombia law like that. Now comes the other part of the problem, or not problem, but complexity. A lot of banks in South America, when you want to send a standby letter of credit to the bank, the standby letter of credit goes to a central bank. In places like El Salvador, it goes to a central bank. In Panama, there is no central bank. And once you send it to a South American country, you're like, I don't even know where it's going. It went to the cloud, like, I don't even know, can the bank afford to pay me? So what we do from a process perspective is we'll say, okay, we're going to send, I don't know if you're familiar with banking terms, it's called an MT 799, which is called proof of funds. I'm going to have my bank send an MT 799 to the South American bank to get it confirmed. I'll ask for, is a text acceptable? Is the terms acceptable? And only when the bank confirms acceptable, only and only then I'll send the standby letter of credit to the South American bank. And there's an and. I'm not going to send a hard copy of the instrument to the South American bank until I get paid. Is that something you can help us with? Or did I lose you completely in my technical details? Why are you laughing? I don't even know why you guys are laughing. I don't know what to do with the laugh.
Okay, in the example that you gave, okay, I think in this example that you gave, the knowing of the law of the Colombian law that all the oil sources are national interest had to be done before, okay?
Yeah.
So we have to go drilling down to every country with every details, okay? The thing that of working this letter of credit, okay, I think it can be done, let's say, going back to Colombia and your example, okay? Because there are several banks from Colombia that also have offices here in Panama. So it's a kind of having the jurisdiction in two different countries with one same operation, okay? The other thing is that in these countries, in these Latin American countries, okay, the supervised institutions like our fiduciary TAC, okay, that is supervised by the Superintendencia de Banco. Let's say they receive some kind of a nice treatment from the different local authorities of different countries, okay? It's not the same thing that Daniel goes to ask for something that a bank or a supervised institution of ours goes there, okay? Really, in myself, I got kind of confused what you were planting in your example, okay? But I think that we've seen in details, okay? We can look it over, okay?
Awesome. And then to help us with our clients, what's the cost of setting this up from like what's the total cost? If I have clients that I want to bring to you to set up the trust structure that has a bank and where the bank can hold a banking instrument, what does that cost our clients?
The cost will be depending on the structure and the complex of the structure and there could be some variable cost depending of the regulation of the trustee or the trust fund, because for example, like Daniel says, if there are a possibility that we have to open of a trust fund in Panama, but we have to open the bank account in the USA, for example,
yeah.
or another country, we need to consider a cost of the regulation of it, because could be an option or could be a request of the authority to go to the office that administrate or the bank or have some confirmations and all of that. But normally a simple trust, normally the cost of the commissions that normally is an annual fee, and the annual fee, depending of the value of the assets have been deposited there, and normally is 1.5% or something like that.
Got it. Okay, got it. Now, have you guys done this before for other clients, setting up a trust structure in Panama or helping with bank license, private bank license, not Schedule A, private bank licenses?
Okay, TAC is a trust company that have been established since 1993 and have so we have experience in Panama to establish trust companies, trust funds, not only in Panama but international trust, because TAC, for example, is part of the group that have operation all in Central America. So we have experience on that. What you are describing is not a common operation in Panama, like already Daniel says, but it's not an issue to apply to the regulation in Panama, because like I said in the beginning stage of the meeting, that this kind of that the Panama regulation of the trust companies and the trust fund is very like I said, is very general and permit all kinds of structure that it can be adapted to the operation.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. So let's say the way that we currently work right now is we have a provider out of UK.
Okay.
And the provider in UK will set up an accounting firm to the trust. So the accounting firm can look at the assets in the trust and go arrange a loan like that. And let's say the fee is $300,000. The provider will add another $200,000 to the fee. So it becomes $500,000. And then we share out of the $200,000 profit, we share $100,000 for my firm and then $100,000 to the provider's firm. And then they collect the other $300,000. Is that something that my firm can do with you guys?
We have done that a lot of times.
Yes.
Okay? No problem. In different structures.
Okay, perfect, perfect, great, perfect. That's awesome. Okay, good. In a minute, I want to ask you to ask us questions, but here's how I envision working with you. One of the things we do is we like to do a personality assessment of people we want to work with. So if you don't mind, Sarah will send you a link. It's only 6 minutes. If you could just answer some yes or no questions, you get an email on your personality. We'll get an email on your personality if that's okay. Like the bank CEO I work with, he's by the book. And if you're hiring a bank CEO, you want the guy to be by the book. You know what I mean? Like that. So if you guys don't mind, that would be a great next step. Then what I like to do with your permission is if there's a day and time you're free, I don't know next week, but soon, like within the next 2-3 weeks, if Sarah and I can fly to Panama to meet you for one day. And maybe we treat you, or be our treat. We'll take you to your favorite restaurant in Panama for lunch, dinner, whatever you like. It'll be our treat, but it'll be good to meet you face to face.
Sure. Excellent.
And that way we can understand your business and who you are. You can understand our business and who we are. I would invite you to Toronto, but I think the weather in Panama is much nicer compared to Toronto.
That's
I
right.
think so. I would prefer
Sure.
to come to Toronto, but 2 months from now, different deal. You're coming to Toronto because the weather here is nicer. Right? And then the third thing is we do a lot of our customers are high net worth clients. They're venture capital firms, they're asset management companies. They run a lot of our clients are high net worth clients, and our route to market is through brokers. The broker is a dealer broker, licensed broker, lawyer, like that. Those how we get referrals.
Mhm.
And we have over 800 brokers. So we get a lot of calls at that. What I'd like to invite you, if I may invite you to come to one of our webinars. You can
Sure.
see with your own eyes how many people show up to our webinars. We on average get between 100 to 200 people who sign up to the webinar. So you can see the quality of the people we attract.
Sure.
What I like to do is our mission in our business is to help companies become self-funded for life. How we do self-funded for life is varies. Investment program, tax protection, but really create a self-funded for life. Banking license like that. Once you meet us and see our webinars and get to talk to us, maybe you can go to Trustpilot and see our references. We have over 120 reviews. So if you fake, you'll know.
Yes, sure.
But then if you feel comfortable, definitely NDA, and see it, definitely for sure. Then what I like to do is to do some webinars with you. But we will create the content for our clients, and then we want to bring the clients to you.
Sure.
Jim, okay.
Okay.
If that works.
Taimour, the good thing here is that you are treating with Reynaldo and Daniel, but they are operator. One, Reynaldo from TAC and Daniel from TAC, but Reynaldo also is the main partner or the one of the best accountant and tax firm in Panama. Okay, with working with TAC, you will have not only the trustee firm, you will have the support of a firm that's specialized in tax things, international and national. That is a very good point.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure, no, I appreciate it. Sarah, can I ask you, if you don't mind, if you could email them a copy of our joint venture contract? I want you to see our standard contract, because in our contract, we put prices for setting up a trust in New Zealand, in Australia, in the UK. And when I meet you face to face, I can tell you what's involved in these trusts and so on. We're just looking right now to increase our providers. The one provider that we have like 15 transactions in front of them, and they're a little bit slow they're just very slow. So that's why I'm looking for another provider that can give me a contract, give my clients contracts, and then we can go at scaling our business.
Sure.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay.
And it will be a pleasure to have you here in Panama. Okay, you and Tara. I'm from the old school that I prefer face-to-face business.
Yeah,
so,
me too. Me too.
So it will be a pleasure to having you here in Panama. Okay.
For sure.
And that way we can talk about what we are doing. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you can know us better, because
100%.
even though all the information by now is in the web, okay, and I can look up to you, and you can look up to our office for our business. Okay, I think it's necessarily to talk face to face about it. Okay.
100%, 100%. So if you go on YouTube, you can put All Funds Global or my name, makes no difference. And I don't know how many videos we have, but how to own a bank,
Okay.
over 1,000 views.
Okay.
How to leverage banking instruments, how to do high yield programs, how to find fraud, how does banking instruments work? Like we provide a lot of our IP content on YouTube. So that's where we get majority of our brokers and like that. And each of the YouTube videos will have a video testimonial from a customer or a lawyer or something like that. So you can check out the stuff that we are doing.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. I will look them over. I can, for sure, I will not read them all, see them all, but okay. And I'm thinking ahead, it will be a nice thing to have you here because we are also in the financial field. We are issuers of cards, Visa and MasterCard. We have operations from Mexico to Panama. So several things we can probably think of several things or other options, not only the trust. Okay.
Go further.
So
Go
Sarah,
further, yeah.
Sarah, when we go to Panama, maybe we can go for 2 days.
That's right.
So maybe day one, you present to us whatever you do. Day two, we come to you with questions about what you do, and we present to you what we do. And then over dinner, we can figure out how does this mesh together.
Okay. Of course.
Excellent.
Okay. Yes. Next week is kind of complicated week because this week is Semana Santa here.
No, I understand.
So everybody's in
Yeah.
holidays. So next week we have to catch up what we didn't do this week. So we can think of any time from the week next from this week to the next one. Okay.
For sure.
Let me check.
Awesome.
Let me look at the calendar.
Awesome.
Okay.
For sure.
From the 17th of April, any date afterwards. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Sarah will send you some information and we'll take it from there.
Okay.
I really
Thank you, Taimour. Thank you,
And
Sarah.
please
Have a
send
good
the
day.
NDA, or we can send an NDA if you have one. Okay, just to be.
Yeah, we can send you a standard one. We have a big standard one. You can take a look at it. If you want to sign it, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Reinaldo. Bye-bye.
Gracias, saludos, gracias.
Bye.
César,
you.
gracias, Taimour. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sarah, can you hang out? Hi, Sarah.